Drishti IAS is pleased to revise its program specially targeting GS Paper 4, which deals with ethics, integrity, and aptitude. In this episode of the program, Ethics, Definitions and Concepts, we will discuss social justice, theories, and concepts. Let us begin with a brief introduction on social justice. Social justice is the view that everyone deserves equal economic, political, social rights and opportunities. Social justice as a concept arose in the early 19th century during the Industrial Revolution and the subsequent civil revolutions throughout Europe. It aimed to create a more egalitarian society and remedy capitalistic exploitation of human labor. Early social justice advocates focused primarily on capital, property, and the distribution of wealth. By the mid-20th century, social justice had expanded from being primarily concerned with economics. It includes other spheres of life to include the environment, race, gender, and other causes and manifestations of inequality. The measure of social justice has expanded from being measured and enacted only by the nation-state to include a universal human dimension. Now, let us focus on the principles of social justice. There are 5 main principles of social justice, namely access to resources, equity, participation, diversity, and human rights. Looking at access to resources first. It refers to the extent to which different socio-economic groups receive equal access to give everyone an equal start in life. Many societies offer a multitude of resources and services for their citizens, such as healthcare, food, shelter, education, and recreational opportunities. There often exists unequal access to such services. Shifting towards principle of equity. Equity refers to how individuals are given tools specific to their needs and socio-economic status in order to move towards similar outcomes. It contrasts with equality, where everyone is offered the same tools to move towards the same outcome. As such, often, things that are equal are not equitable due to the more advanced needs of some individuals and groups. Social justice integrated with addressing equity issues might include advancing policies that provide support to overcome systemic barriers. Now, let us discuss participation. Participation refers to how everyone in society is given a voice and opportunity to verbalize their opinions and concerns. They have a role in any decision making that affects their livelihood and standard of living. Social injustice occurs when a small group of individuals makes decisions for a large group, while some people are unable to voice their opinions. Shifting towards the next principle, that is diversity. Appreciating the value of cultural differences is especially important. Policymakers are often better able to construct policies that take into consideration differences that exist among different societal groups. It is important to recognize that some groups face more barriers in society. By considering the inequities, policymakers and civil servants will be in a stronger position to expand opportunities for marginalized or disadvantaged groups. Discrimination in employment on the basis of factors such as race, gender, ethnicity, sex, age, and other characteristics are constant issues in the society. Looking at the principle of human rights in social justice. Human rights are the basic rights and freedoms that belong to every person anywhere in the world, from birth until death. They are applied regardless of nationality, faith, or race. Human rights and social justice are certainly interrelated, and it is impossible for one to exist without the other. They are extremely important in many societies and are recognized internationally through institutions such as the International Criminal Court, International Court of Justice, and the United Nations Human Rights Council. Now, looking at various theories of social justice. Let us begin with utilitarianism. The protagonists of utilitarianism, such as Jeremy Bentham or John Stuart Mill, considered practicality and utility to be the measure of virtue and justice. The value of justice is inherent in how many individuals derive pleasure from it. That is, how far it is useful or full of utility in favor of common interest. That which is not useful or does not contain any utility cannot be just and ethically justifiable. The maximum good of the greatest number of individuals is regarded as the basis of justice. For them, utility ought to be the measure of good, right, morality, progress, and justice. Bentham stressed that justice must be demonstrated and the welfare of the needy and the oppressed be protected. According to these thinkers, whatever is useless, painful, evil, and unjust must be reformed or changed in the interest of the greatest number of individuals. In other words, all questions of distribution are to be resolved by reference to consequences. A socially just allocation is the ultimate allocation that produces the greatest sum of happiness. The next theory we will discuss is self-perfectionism. Since all individuals differ in their abilities and capacities, their duties too would immensely differ. Each individual must do all his duties honestly and efficiently in accordance with the place he has been assigned in society. Every person has the right to choose his own place of duties. One can pursue any course of his liking, but once he selects his place, he must do his work devotedly. The possibilities of social progress and the areas of justice are expanded in the interest of all. This is the right way to achieve individual and social good, and there is no contradiction between the two. Looking at Marxism. The Marxist view of social justice believes that the idea of justice has been developed through the ages. It changes from one age to the other on the basis of economic relations. The economic structure plays a decisive role in establishing and maintaining social justice. There has been continuous struggle between the haves and have-nots throughout the ages in the pretext of social justice. In every stage of human society, the have-nots were exploited by the have-class. They could not attain such justice as the problem of exploitation is rooted in the economic structure itself. The Marxist ethics first associate the concept of justice with the idea of liberating society from exploiting class. Social justice attains its summit in communist society, in which all traces of social and economic distinction disappear. Now we will discuss existentialism. The existentialist did not accept justice as natural virtue like that of German philosopher Nietzsche or an ancient Indian lawgiver Manu, and said that man is fundamentally free. Man makes his own ideals with a view to bring about a particular social system in future. The existentialists hold that man's life is a continuous struggle in the midst of the unity of the process of choice. In Jean Paul Sartre's view, man cannot escape the exercise of freedom, as freedom is inherent in the existence of mankind. Freedom would remain in life perennially so long as the existence of man continues. Man's freedom is unlimited, that is, freedom can never be destroyed by any law or moral rule. It cannot be rooted out by coercion of an ideal or any system of obligations. This fact, however, does not exonerate man from responsibility, which is the sole basis of the existential idea of justice. Man is responsible for all his ideals, which he chooses as a free being, whether these ideals are related to justice, morality, democracy, or economic welfare. Man's just ideals or unjust systems inspire him accordingly for pursuing his own course of action. Let's focus on John Rawls' theory of social justice. In his work, A Theory of Justice, Rawls defends a conception of justice as fairness. He holds that an adequate account of justice cannot be derived from utilitarianism. The doctrine is consistent with intuitively undesirable forms of government which neglects the rights and interests for minority. Rawls argues that justice consists of the basic principles of government that free and rational individuals would agree to in a hypothetical situation of perfect equality. Rawls imagines a group of individuals who have been made ignorant of the social, economic, and historical circumstances from which they come. They are ignorant of their basic values and goals, including their conception of what constitutes a good life. Situated behind this veil of ignorance, they could not be influenced by self-interested desires to benefit some social groups at the expense of others. It ensures that principles chosen are fair. According to Rawls, each person is to have an equal right to the most extensive total system of basic liberties, compatible with a similar system of liberty for all. Social and economic inequalities are to be arranged so that they are both the greatest benefits of the least advantaged, attached to the offices and positions open to all under conditions fair equalities of opportunities. The most distinctive element is that inequalities in the allocation of goods are permissible if they work to the benefit of the least well-off members of society. Now, let's discuss the theory of libertarianism. A more far-reaching challenge has been posed by critics such as Hayek and Nozick, who reject the notion of social justice altogether. They argue instead for a return to the traditional understanding of justice as respect for law and established rights. It contains three central claims. First, the notion of social justice assumes that there is some agency responsible for the distribution of benefits in society. In fact, this distribution arises through uncoordinated activity of many agents, non-aiming at overall results. Second, the quest for social justice involves replacing the market economy with a bureaucracy. It tries to exercise complete control over the flow of resources to individuals. Third, this quest also involves fundamental interference with personal freedom. Justice is a property of processes rather than of outcomes. Nozick's writings develop a theory of justice which reinforces a radical free market approach and fits a so-called minimal or night watchman state. The minimal state is the most extensive state that can be justified, and an extensive state violates people's rights. Under utilitarianism or the theory of Rawls, we could have redistribution policies, but no redistribution is legitimate in the minimal state. Now, let's focus on Ambedkar's view on social justice. Ambedkar agreed with Bourbon's idea of justice, which states, "Justice has always evoked ideas of equality and proportion of compensation. If all men are equal, all men are of the same essence, and common essence entitles them to the same fundamental rights and to equal liberty." Ambedkar had also a very liberal concept of justice in the sense of its being grounded in human values. Justice for Ambedkar is simply another name for liberty, equality, and fraternity. According to Ambedkar, political democracy cannot last unless there lies at the base of it the social democracy which recognizes equality, liberty, and fraternity as the principles of life. These principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity are not to be treated as separate items in a trinity, but form a unity of trinity in the sense. To divorce one from the other is to defeat the very purpose of democracy. Hence, for Ambedkar, democracy is an essential ingredient for attaining social justice. Ambedkar's concept of social justice means a mode of life to give every man his right place in society. The measure of social justice is not material progress, but the abundance and proliferation of human values among the people. At the end, let's look at some of the questions asked in the previous years. In 2019, the following question was asked. What does the following quotation mean to you? "When there is righteousness in the heart, there is beauty in the character. When there is beauty in the character, there is harmony in the home. When there is harmony in the home, there is an order in the nation. And when there is order in the nation, there is peace in the world. APJ Abdul Kalam. In 2018, the following question was asked. What does the following quotation mean to you in the present context? The true rule in determining to embrace or reject anything is not whether it has any evil in it, but whether it has more evil than good. There are few things wholly evil or wholly good. Almost everything, especially of government policy, is an inseparable compound of the two, so that our best judgment of the preponderance between them is continually demanded. Abraham Lincoln. In 2017, the following question was asked. If a country is to be corruption-free and become a nation of beautiful minds, I strongly feel that there are three key societal members who can make a difference. They are father, mother, and teacher. APJ Abdul Kalam. Analyze. In 2014, the following question was asked. For the following quotations, bring out what it means to you in the present context. There is enough on this earth for everyone's need, but not for one's greed. Mahatma Gandhi. Nearly all men can withstand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. Abraham Lincoln. With this, we conclude today's episode of Ethics, Definitions and Concepts. Until next time, stay safe. Thank you. To watch our videos in Hindi, subscribe to our Hindi YouTube channel, Drishti IAS.